Everyone has different soil types in their garden. You need to understand your soils. Try to identify them. Your hands are incredibly effective explaining to you exactly what type of soils you're dealing with. Your sense of touch in respect to soil is very powerful. Texture and pliability are great indicators of your soil's consistency. How your soil behaves when it dries out provides another set of clues. How your soil deals with excess moisture is important to visualize. It is important for your soil to store water. Stopping your soil from crusting over is crucial. Keep your soils fluffy, never allow them to compact. The ultimate test for soils is to grow something inside them. Black, rich soils sometimes aren't great to grow in. Growing anything in soil requires experience. One thing is for sure, your soils need to display the same forward movement as your plants. Your soils need to keep up with your plants and with the gardener's efforts. Plant and soil harmony are important. Soils that are working will improve, especially if you add organic matter when needed. An observant gardener knows when certain garden beds are tired. Keeping your soils covered with vegetation is a game changer. The vegetation keeps your soils cool and protected. The microorganisms and fungi are interacting with the roots, and the shade allows them to perform at their best ability. Soils and gardens need to exhibit a forward movement to be healthy.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about soils. And what I want to talk about is that, so you get a new property, or you have your property, or you're visiting a friend's property, and you basically have to understand that down below where we have a river, it's a lot more sandy. Up above here, we have this gray shale. It's mixed a bit into the soil. Over that way, we have lots of leaves that are coming down from a forest. So that soil is very different. This soil here has been conditioned with foreign soil and compost and chicken manure. So what happens is, in the process of creating a garden, you've created all these different soils on your land. And if they were all unified, that would be an interesting process, but they're not. They're very different. So down by the river, you could grow things that love to grow in sandy soils. Up above, you could grow things that like that shaly soil. So you can pick your plants to match your soils. That's one way of getting around, having all these different soils on your property. One thing you have to really realize is that soil is a science, a very interesting concept, what soil really resembles. I consider it the starting point of your garden. If your soil is crappy, your garden is going to be quite tough to get it to look good and to grow anything. Remember, your soils and your garden are a work in progress. They need to move forward. They constantly need to get better. They constantly need to be improved in such a way that you can sustain more growth and more growth. You have to remember, the moment you put something in the ground, it will improve that soil immensely. Soils that are bare and that are not working will not exhibit the same quality. They will slowly deteriorate. So keeping your ground cover, keeping your soil working all the time, ground covers, digging them in, bringing like foreign material from somewhere else to put into your garden to improve it all the time. And always remember to use your hands. Like this is from behind me here. So if you use your hands, this is pretty good soil. It's not too loamy. It's got lots of good sand in it. This drains like crazy. Everything will grow in there. So what I'm getting at is understand what is missing in your soil. For example, down below, it's too sandy, so we need to add loamy material. possibly even a little bit of clay-like material to retain the water better. So go through your garden, decide what is different in the soils in your garden. Try to bring them to this point where they're perfect for growing certain crops. Always remember that a living garden is a consuming garden. Your plants will show you the exact moment when your soil is very tired, and you have to listen to that. Don't use chemical fertilizers. Bring in, organic material to get your garden strong again. So this process of understanding your soil, improving your soil, working your soil, keeping your soil covered with vegetation, all those things will give you a great garden, and your soils will reward you tenfold if you look after them, if you care for them, if you understand them, what it means to have good soil. You can go and buy soil that is the best looking soil you could ever imagine. It has all the characteristics. It feels a bit odd because it's too perfect. And it's really hard to grow something inside stuff like that. We have a place up here that has this black soil and nothing grows in it. It needs to be conditioned with our old soil, our regular soil, and then it starts to work really well. So also experiment with your soils. Get little containers. Take samples from your yard everywhere, put them in the container, put some seeds in there, and have notes where these containers came from, and see if these seeds grow or not. Soil compaction. Let's talk about soil compaction. So when you're doing your gardens, try to keep your soils fluffy. Try to keep them aerated. Try not to walk on your beds. I see gardeners, they'll plant a row of stuff and they'll walk all over it, like right away. Like, stay off your garden as much as you can. Keep the soil fluffy. Let the air get in. Let it work with the microorganisms. Keep your soil healthy that way by not having it compacted. Watch out for the sun. Don't allow the sun to create a crust on top of your soil. Protect your soil from getting covered over with this very hard, very impenetrable crust. So all I'm getting at is keep an eye on your soil, be very observant, constantly, improve your soil, work with your soil. Always remember, your soil is where everything starts. Good soil will allow you to have good plant growth, and it'll allow you to have a great garden.